Hello everyone. This video is gonna be about a table of calculations for curse damage made by Beef13. Beef13 is a user that has helped moderate the 1/curse DPS Discord for a long time. He retired a little bit on mid of tier 2 to the end of tier 2. I hope he comes back to tier 3, but regardless, all credits to him. It's a table that he made. There's a lot of other informations and Theorycraft on the other tabs that he also made and like organized. So if you wanna take a look on that, all credit goes to him. I'm gonna also put a video in the description where he explains a little bit about the table in a short video. So if you wanna check that out, feel free as well. I just want to cover this because I think it's an amazing resource that he made, and it's really cool actually. And it's a lot more complex than, for example, what I made on my last video talking about one tier crafting and damage. Right? I just tried to compare some numbers, some values, some percentages, and try to understand like how poison and other things applies. Here, there's no poison from what I have checked. It's only curse damage, but it's still very interesting and very well made because you can apply a lot of modifications and a lot of things to see how your damage changes. Uh, the thing you gotta do is here on the one base, you're gonna want to put your minimum base and your maximum base damage to get your average. Uh, most of the things that are gonna change are gonna be on the yellow squares. Remember to check without your Stellarite because you're gonna have a Stellarite check later, so you can just put your raw base damage here. This bonus base damage, I think it's any flat increase that you might get from maybe some external sources. I think it's just a tool to add the damage straight up here. The crit and heavy attack chance, from what I understood, is just versus 1000 crit versus 0 crit, 0 endurance, right? And it's just to like understand the percentage, how much like 1000 crit slash 1000 heavy gap will add to your chance of proccing that crit slash heavy. So it doesn't really affect anything on the calculations here. It's just so you can be aware how it works or like the percentage. The skill damage boost here is just you put your skill damage boost here, and then any extra bonus skill damage boost you can put here. Uh, yeah, crit damage is how much crit damage you do. Usually it's gonna be 18% if you're using a full heavy build with just a passive or something around that. This is the bonus skill damage boost multiplier because sometimes we have passives, sets, masters, whatever that have multipliers. You can put that. Here we've calculated bonuses that comes from your skills. For example, the one passive that adds curse time, curse duration, he put here 3.3. Then the damage over time from the masteries, he also put here. Then this is also from the master, the curse duration, he put here. You can double check everything if you want, but from what I have checked, it's all correct if you're using like the correct masteries and things. Your dot set, that increases your damage over time by 0.24. That's from the Sacred. One passive mastery, that's from the Day and Night, I'm quite sure, 0.43. Damage over time total. I believe this is just multiplying everything or adding everything together. I'm not entirely sure. I think it's just adding everything together. The enchanting time is the skill that boosts your skill damage boost, right, by 220. So you can see here, it doesn't really tell exactly, but if you have played Curse for a decent time, you understand most of those. This is full of corruption, which gives 40 max damage, if I'm not mistaken, per stack. So goes to 120. This is the Valorous Barrier, which is the offensive version of the defensive buff with the specialization. There's Birkin Daggers, and this is Battle Spirit, which most of the times you're not gonna be using because you cannot use you cannot use the mastery for damage. It takes another slot, so basically you cannot use 3 on the first row if I'm not mistaken. So you usually don't take those, but I think he added to the calculations if you want to use that. The Stellarite, then the Deckman version, which is really cool that he added. The Witching, which is the single target, and the upgrade E.Tevent, which is the Awakened / Enraged. The Deckman here, when you apply this, is gonna be taking into consideration Corrupt Magic Circle into the calculation, and when you don't apply it, it's gonna be taking E.Tevent as default. At least that's from what I understood from what I asked. So the way it works is you're gonna put, like I said, your data here, your basic data. You don't touch anything up here unless you change your masters are built and you wanna, change something here, then you're gonna have to adjust the values here. If you wanna take into consideration external buffs from your party, you can try to increase those here with the bonus base damage or skill damage boost multiplier slash bonus base. But that's the basic for like input information here. I'm gonna take, for example, no, I'm gonna explain here how it's done. So it's similar to how I did. It takes into consideration the calculation, then the bonus damage, then the duration, and the buff duration, sorry. This is the result after going from the debuff duration, I'm quite sure. Yep. So it goes through here. Then there's a check if you're creating, because create, as a reminder, crit does increase your damage if you have crit damage amplification. So if you have 0, it's not going to increase your damage. But if you have usually 18 to 20 to like 13, depends on your sets, usually you're not going to have that much crit unless you're doing a glass cannon build. But if you have crit, you can increase that. If you are doing a heavy, you can click on that. So you can check like the multiplier damage on everything is really cool. It also has the thing that I said that if you crit in heavy, it really inflates your damage. So for example, if I have 80% crit, which I think is almost the max, I'm quite sure, and I can have in crit, you can see how much damage it changes. It's like 2,400. If I heavy, it goes to 5,000. But if I heavy in crit, it goes to 9,000, which is insane. So you can see like everything here works properly. It's really amazing, like fantastic job from Beefy, and I'm glad he explained everything. But what it does, you can check every single thing, like touch 1, 2 touches, current match circle, touch of despair, decaying touch, E.Tevent, curse explosion damage, and curse explosion damage with the vampiric mastery. And then you can just work around. For example, here are my base status from what I checked on one of my builds, of course. This is the skill damage boost that I had. Like I said, I had 18% crit, and then I just proc my Stellarite. I don't have upgraded Devon. I'm not using Witching single target. I use Enchanting Thumb. I use Valorous Barrier. I use Barkins. This full stacked, right? And I do use Full of Corruption, even though I don't have that in entire time. I would like to check the numbers with Full of Corruption. So with that, I have my setup for like what damage I should be expecting. And then I can go here and check like, oh, I'm using the Tavern, right? The Cane Touch and 3 touch of Despairs in this. This calculation is for 1 touch, this for 2, this for 3, right? So you can see this is the damage that I would be doing AoE with everything that is set without heavies. If I include triple heavies, my damage would double, of course, that's how heavy works, to 60,000, which is crazy. But you gotta remember that this is base and depends on the enemy. So here, from what I understood, I'm not entirely sure the difference between E-base death and enemy death. But I'm quite sure you should be changing the enemy death to make a comparison. Usually they're going to be around 3,000, so before I put that here, it's going to be around 2.5 to 4.5 to 5, I think, depending on what the enemy is focusing on their status. So I think 3,000 to 3.5,000 should be around average. Skill damage boost is also going to do. Sorry, there's a car behind me. Skill damage boost is also going to change a decent chunk. It could be like average, depending on the type of enemy. It can be like, if it's a DPS, it can be like 300 to 400 to 500, something like that. Around 500 would be my guess. But if you're playing versus a tank, I have seen some running outwards to like 1.2 thousand skill damage. Skill damage resist, saying skill damage boost, but skill damage resist here. So you can calculate using this, and you can see how much difference it does on your damage. And the biggest status, which is the buff duration, which you can see like if the enemy has around 20%, which is going to be some DPSs usually around that, it's going to already do a good chunk. Healers and tanks going to have something from 30 to 50% even, so you can check like how much damage in multipliers. If you want to use 40%, that's a pretty high base. I think 35 is around the average. 30 to 35. You can see like if you heavy everything, this is your potential AoE damage. If you have Awakened E.Tevent, I'm quite sure he uses around 5% for the calculation as well. You're gonna do a push to 36,000 AoE damage if you have everything. And if you wanna play with Deckman, you can see how much damage it changes. It's just a reminder this doesn't take poison into consideration, so that's the difference here. And then if you wanna check for single target, you just click on Witching Hour and you're gonna see like you can do some insane damage for single target. That's why I always recommend if you're struggling to kill people, if you're struggling to do damage, even more versus competitive kills on GVGs 48s. I do recommend swapping to single target and just nuke their healers, because every time you kill one healer or two healers, depending on the party format, right, you're basically killing an entire party. So you don't need to AoE bomb and kill a bunch of people to be effective. Taking out two healers is already killing a whole party most of the times in the competitive term. Killing one healer is already putting a lot of pressure on the party. And if you can take out even their tank, it's gonna like make their DPSs not have links, and then it all follows through. So that's why I say if you're playing GVG, it's Lash 48s, you can play single target and be effective if you know how to target priority targets properly. But then again, this is just calculations. It's really cool how all of this works. So if you want to take into consideration, oh, I cannot proc 3 full of corruption in 48s because it's a lot harder. So you can remove that and you can see how much damage you can do. That's basically about it. The second table is just the same thing from the top table. It's just so you can do double comparison. So you can do like one setup here and then one setup here, change a few things so you can see like, oh, so if I have Stellarite, if I have like Upgrade Devon, if I have some buffs here and some buffs not here, this is the difference in damage. So you can compare two things here and it's really cool. All credits goes to B13, like I said before, amazing job. Honestly, I'm really happy he came back. At least to explain the table and share about it. He already had shared about it before, but when I opened it, I didn't understand anything. Honestly, I just bat my eye on this and was like, "Oh my god, I'm overwhelmed," because I mean, it was really cool, but I was very lost. So there's a video that he explains how it works on the description. So if you wanna also watch that, feel free. But I think I already explained everything properly. I did ask for permission to make a video about this and share, just so you can be aware. I didn't just steal all his hard work. I credit everything to him. He's very impressive. I just wanted to share a little bit more because if you're not in the Dark Light, sorry, not Dark Light, in the one Discord, DPS Discord, you might not see this and you might not even know this exists. And I think it's definitely useful for a lot of people. So that's about it. Thank you for watching. See ya.